Happy Mother's Day!
Hi, my name is Charmaine Morris.
And I'm Jo-Ann Morris, and we're the founders of Rachael Lane.
Oh, that's a easy one. Regular mother-daughter quarrel, disagreements, teenage angst, the usual. Yeah, typical mother-daughter. Nothing extreme though, I must say. She was a fairly easy child. But the typical, you get into teenage years and there's always disagreement, what to wear, when to wear, what to wear, the usual. I'm always thinking that's too much. She's always thinking it's not enough. So yeah, the usual mother-daughter disagreements that everybody has, most persons will have. Right, Jo-Ann?
Of course, I thought I was a saint. So I think one of the things that stand out for me though is I've always felt safe with my parents, and I've never felt like I had to be anybody else. And it wasn't until I got older that I realized that that was actually a privilege that not a lot of children have. So that's one of the things that really stick out to me from childhood.
I think it has changed in the sense that there are times that I have to remember that it's not mommy, but it's a business and it's an equal partnership. So therefore, Jo-Ann would have just as much say, if not more, because she's primary, in how things operate and in the decisions that are made. So there are times I have to rein that back in because there's a temptation to say, no, do this, no, do that, do it this way, do it that way, because you sort of fall back into the mother role. But no, I think over time, it has sort of settled now where we consider ourselves equals, and I will default to her because, as I said, she's primary lead, so I will default to her. But it took a little while to get over that. And one funny thing in the writing of emails back and forth, and yes, we do email, even when we're sitting beside each other, we're emailing each other. Sometimes I stop at the end and I'm like, do I put mommy? Do I put Charmaine? It's so weird, so sometimes I just don't put anything.
Yeah, I don't put anything. I just send.
Yeah, that's a tricky part that hasn't quite been worked out as yet. Exactly how do you end a correspondence when you're dealing with parent and child? You're accustomed to saying, mommy or something like that. So yeah, but otherwise, no, it has taken a little while, but we've settled off. It's fine now.
I think for me, the change has more been as like a change from solely relying on her as a parent to now having to support her as well. As she said, it's a business, it's a partnership. So if there are questions, I'm not asking her as mommy, I'm asking her as a business partner, which is completely different. And just in the same way, I have to be there for her to be able to ask me questions as a business partner or to rely on me as a business partner. But other than that, I love it. There are no arguments or anything like that. So
No, no.
yeah, there are no
No,
arguments or
we will
anything.
disagree on style,
Yeah.
especially when we're formulating or we're designing something, but we don't have any arguments where we're upset and, we're stomping off. No, we don't have any of that.
Yeah, so it's
mainly design and style that we will have our little disagreements, and eventually we come to an agreement on what to do, and what to put out. Jo-Ann, I'll default to you on this one.
So my mother is very creative, very creative. She paints, award-winning writer, so she writes all of these things, right? I just got like a fraction. And so I grew up seeing her have countless projects that she would plan and then pass down to my father to execute, right? So about 4 years ago now or 5, she started experimenting with soap making, and she would give the soaps to friends and family, and everybody would always be asking for more. And then I've always loved scents, and so around that time I randomly bought a wax, like a candle making kit, I don't know why, and I started experimenting, blending scents and making candles. And then around a year after all of this started, I was facing redundancy. So I said, we've been testing out formulations now, gifting them so we know that people like them. Let's jump out and make Rachael Lane official. Rachael Lane is a combination of our names, one of her middle names, and an alteration to my middle name. I really wanted the brand name to belong to us, and so I was very particular in how I chose the name and what I went through to choose the name. So that's how Rachael Lane came about.
Oh, and let me interject. Because Jo-Ann makes it sound very smooth and well thought out and everything. She just literally came home one day and said, I guess we're doing this as a business now, right? And that was the beginning of it. And with the name, we had the name before. We had the name Rachael Lane. I don't know, it just popped in. You know, we just said Rachael Lane. And then a few months after, we said, no, let's try and do a different name, a proper name that can, signify what the business is. And we went through this whole brainstorming session one afternoon, getting people's opinion, throwing words out, putting things together. Guess what we ended up with at the end? Rachael Lane. So after this long brainstorming session with sheets and sheets of paper on the wall and everything, we ended up right back at the name Rachael Lane. So Rachael Lane it is. Well, creative. I think we use creativity all day long in everything that you do, even if you don't have a job that's creative. Because I think people think of creativity only as creating things with your hand, but that's not where it ends. It ends in your mind. It's in your mind. It's the things you think of, the solutions that you think of, or you can swing from one state to another. That involves creativity as well. How you adapt to different things. So for me, it's not an issue because I've always been sort of tactile and I've always been thinking, even from a child, thinking of different things to do. You sort of make up your own games, you run around the place and you do things. So it sort of just morphed into what I now do. One interesting thing though, and I think we all do it, and it's something that we need to encourage our children. When I was in high school and we'd be in art class and the teacher would say to me, why you don't continue the drawing? I mean, I dropped art the first moment I got to drop art in third form. And I remember the art teacher saying to me, you should continue. But I would look on the other girls and I would think, Jesus, they have talent, they naturally can just draw this. Well, I have to practice to get what I want. But he still used to say to me, still continue, you should still do it. Same thing with the literature. I dropped it at the first moment because I'm like, I can't bother with this Shakespeare. I can't understand. I have to read too hard to understand these things. And I dropped it. And even for CXC, he was saying to me, I should still try and see if I can pick it up back. And I never did. And flip forward later, I still used to write stories, what I call poetry. I would write them and I'd tear them up and throw them away because I'm like, this is foolishness. This don't make sense. Why am I doing this? And a friend said to me one day, why don't you try and get something published? And I wrote a short story, sent it into the Gleaner, and they sent it back to the Observer. They sent it back. Gleaner was later to the Observer. They sent it back, but they sent it back with a letter that says I should probably try again or think of a chorus. And I did that. And it turns out that I can write. So, moral of the story, when your children show an interest, they have to understand that not everything comes natural to everybody, and that some people just have to work at it, but you still have talent for it. So that's the same thing now. When we're designing things, Rachael Lane, you have to be careful how you look on social media, and this is how creativity can get confusing, because you look and see somebody else doing it. Like you look on Pinterest and you look on IG, and you see all these fabulous things, and you look on your product and you're thinking, God, I'm not
all
even
the time.
there yet. All the time. I'm not even there yet. It don't make sense I try and put this out because this is just rubbish compared to what is out there. But you have to remember, it's an image, it's a representation. You're not looking at it in your hand. And also, there are different levels of creativity. Different people contribute different things and do things differently. So not everything that's fabulously beautiful is necessarily going to be better than what you can do. So you have to know yourself, know your art, know what it is that you want to produce and what you're producing, and just stick with that. Yes. You go ahead, Jay. Your day is more laid out than mine.
So no 2 days are the same. I had a point in time when I was trying to structure my days, and I went through and I planned out hour by hour what I was going to do, and quickly I realized that that's not the reality of my business, at least, or our business. So typically for me, I'll get up at about, when you're leaving, at like 7:37. So no, 7:37. So I'll get up about 7:37. I am a night person. I have always been. right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've always been.
Teenage years, yeah. Lots of
So
quarrels.
my mornings have to start slow. I find that the best result for my day is for the morning to start slow. Anytime I rush into my morning, it's bound to be a bad day. So I start slow. I normally have coffee. We have a dog now, so I play with him a bit in the morning. Play. I play with him a bit in the mornings. And then I try to follow up on any emails that we have that we need to get out. Um, Try to see if there's anything that I need to get done that particular day. And then, yeah, or deliveries or scheduled deliveries or anything like that. And then I particularly like the content planning side of things. I tend to spend a bit more time on that, where mommy is more like finance and like more the office things. Yeah, and then with the soaps. So typically, if it's not actually creating content, it's dealing with customers. But as I said, no 2 days are ever the same.
I'm the opposite. I'm a morning person, so I tend to get up like 5 before 5. Place is quiet. Everybody else is asleep. Even on a Saturday and a Sunday, I still get up before 5 o'clock because the place is just dead quiet, and it just gives you time to unwind. So I will take like an hour or so just pottering around, doing stuff, feeding the dog, making breakfast, watching something or reading something, just taking me time, you know, in the mornings. And I find that sets my day, set the tone for the day. Granted, by the time you start interacting with other persons, your day is just totally shot. But I think mentally you're in a space where you can cope, right? Um, with the making of things, I find that I have to schedule it. I can't just get up and say something happens and say, okay, I'm gonna make this. I have to plan it out, I have to schedule it, because you have to get the ingredients together, you have to know what you're doing and all that. So I have to schedule it even for the week. Like from Sunday, I say, okay, I want to make soup on Wednesday, and this is how I schedule throughout the week. I mainly make at night, or on the weekend during the day, but I mainly make at night. It's a little quieter, you know, it's easier to just do it that way.
And both of us are there.
Yeah, and we're both there, so we can, you know, help each other and things. But that's typically the day for us. For me, it's the morning sessions, taking it easy. Um, Now and again, of course, using the products. Yeah, I must say, we do use the products. I don't use any other soap, but my soap, our soap. That's what I use and bathe. And I find bathing to be a ritual, yeah. Especially turn on the heater, have warm water, and just take your time. And it's sort of another thing. I usually have something playing in the background, and it's usually not music. It's usually some creepy movie, you know. But I find that relaxing, you know. I find that relaxing, and that's me. That's how I take care of me, alone, relaxing. Whether it's watching a show, having a snack, doing a nice bath, you know, nice products, bathroom smell nice. That's how I take care of me.
For me, I've discovered that rituals kind of set the pace for me. I used to think that I could just freestyle everything, freestyle the days, freestyle the nights, and it just wouldn't work. So I found that the more I set up time at night to kind of wind down, as I'm naturally awake at night, so I have to actually put effort into being able to fall asleep, or else I'll be up until like 3 doing nothing. So for me, music, I am a music junkie. She's always telling me to turn on my music. So for me, it's music, it's lighting candles when I'm showering. I love smells, so smells are very important to me at night. I'm a lavender girl, so I have my lavender essential oil room spray, and you know, I set the tone for the night. Other than that, I try to focus on things that make me happy, even small things. As I said, we have a dog now, and it's so funny. I was afraid of dogs. I think I maybe still am. And he's not like a little house dog. He's a dog. And like when people see me with him, they assume that because I'm so playful with him that, you know, I'm okay with all dogs, and I'm not. I only love my dog. So playing with him, I love to watch like documentaries, crime shows. I read a lot of random things. This I think she just discovered. I think she knew that I read, but not necessarily the random things that I read. I'm always like, oh, did you know that? So I love
And surprising
reading.
things too.
Yeah, very random things. So I love reading. I think reading, I've always read. I've always read, and it's always been an escape for me, an escape from what's happening, to just completely dive into a book and get lost into the pages. So I've carried those things from childhood now as an adult.
What's the doggy's name?
Bane,
And he's just like the name.
Babe.
Superhero. What was that? Bane is
Batman,
Batman.
Wild.
Very wild. No, because it's strange because when I was young, you guys probably weren't born then, but when I was younger, I think people used to love things that they applied to their body. Perfume, nice soaps, lotion, powder. You know, Jamaicans on the powder, neck, everything powder. And that was a routine of self-care, but nobody explains it that way. We didn't understand why it's important, apart from the hygiene thing, bathe twice a day. But when you bathe at night, you lotion up and you powder up and you put on a little perfume. I don't think anybody understood it as being a ritual, a self-care ritual. We just think it was something to make you feel nice and smell nice. You go into bed, you must smell nice. Don't ask me why you're going to bed. Why are you smelling nice? People over the years, everybody's stressed and tired. So we come home, you get a quick shower, and you jump into bed, and you wake up in a few hours, and you're gone again. So I think we lost that, and then just how the world has changed and everything has become connected. You never had social media back in the days, so really and truly, either reading a book or TV set
Or
up at a
out doing
point.
something.
So yeah, TVs and even going out wasn't such a thing that you were out all night. There was always this thing where you're back home by a certain time, decent hour, as people used to say, and you never had the distractions. So you come back home, you go to bed, you have a full night's sleep, and you go. But now we have a lot of distractions and a lot of things going on. We know everything that's happening all over the world immediately as it happens. So people just lost that natural thing of taking care of themselves, taking time to do things. Now it's an issue again because mental health is rampant. So that's the new thing. Everybody paying attention to their mental health. And I think part of it is what we're mentally exposed to around us, which is distracting and destroying a lot of social activities, a lot of relaxation time. So I think if we can just slow down, turn off the social media every now and again, develop your own little rituals at night.
Or morning.
Or morning, because morning rituals are very good as well. Develop your own ritual at your particular time of the day, and it will help, in terms of our mental health, our me time, how we develop and how we interact with others throughout the day. Agree, younger?
I agree.
Take it away, Joe.
I think that when people see Rachael Lane, they can see a certain level of intention, especially with the branding and logo placement and all of that. I think that today a lot of brands stray to or lean to very modern and very minimalist. Something that was important for us from day one was to always maintain a tropical luxe vibe. So there'll always be color injected, whether it's the product color or the packaging or whatever it is. And so I think with my architectural background and mommy's creativity, I think when those combine, you really get elements of both of us in the brand. And I think that has led to the products really having shelf appeal. When they're on a shelf, they tend to stand out. So I think our deliberate inclusion of tropical looks and what it means to us, colors, scents, we intend for Rachael Lane to be internationally known, and we want when persons overseas interact with the brand, they feel like we're giving them a little part of Jamaica. So that's the goal, and I think we're doing pretty good so far.
We're doing pretty well because we know it does stand out.
Yeah.
I mean, the first showing that we had at what was that show?
Jamaican
Made. The first year when we did that, when it was our
That was
first
like
year.
our test launch,
it was
basically.
our first year, and we did Jamaican Made Christmas, and a lot of the interaction, the first thing was persons commenting about the logo
Yeah.
and the colors, the packaging. And then the next thing was about the product, like the smell. You know?
Yeah.
So the first thing was the seeing, and then everybody who saw it wanted to
Wanted
touch
to
it.
touch or smell
wanted
or
to
something.
touch, and then they would automatically smell. Even things that didn't have a smell, they were still trying to smell. So we knew then that it had an appeal. And a fun fact about the logo is actually Jo-Ann's face. It's the side profile of her face. So the artist that we had, the graphic artist, the designer, he did an excellent job with that, you know, in just putting the two letters together and using her face. So it's actually a side profile, a profile shot of her face that's in the logo. Relationship.
Live, love, laugh. All day.
Food, good food. Pretty things.
Best
nice
place.
things. Hard sometimes, but necessary.
No, this can't work.
Everybody.
Me. I can't selfish.
Jerk pork that I can't eat anymore.
Dancehall.
Reggae with a twist. Yeah, what you looking at me like that for? Classical. Classical reggae.
I have the bestest in the world.
And I have nothing to say to that. Good choice.